It is the fervent hope of our commission that come next election, the funding from government should increase beyond 98%, if not even 100%. We want to see a situation in Sierra Leone when we are conducting elections. We just rely on our government to provide the funds for us. If anybody comes, have funds, tell you no. Go and help our people who are over. Go and be of service to those who need this funds. Help us to make our roads. But for our elections, let us stand tall as a country to be conducting elections on our own and provide the funds for ourselves so nobody remote controls us and tells us what we should be doing within the African democratic dispensation. We shall continue to work with our international community despite all of this and all other key stakeholders, especially those of you present here this morning. We have genuine intentions and desires to uphold the tenets of credible elections, good governance, and positive democratic values that we hold our nation Sierra Leone together. We want to extend special gratitude and credence to International IDEA for funding this stakeholders conference. It is more than timely that we have a conference of this nature. The Commission remains grateful to you, Dr. Mahmoud, you've been with us when we are doing the strategic plan. So it's not being surprised that you can be a brain in facilitating a program of this nature. We remain grateful and we hope for continuity in the cordial working relationship. Political parties are the cornerstones to democracy. Your presence here is an indicator of how we value your respective roles and responsibilities for national development, national cohesion, and the sustainability of peace and stability of this nation. Representatives from ministries, departments, and agencies invited to this conference have similarly played significant roles in reshaping our democratic values and ensuring national cohesion. Permit me to name but few, whilst others are equally important: the Office of National Security, the Sierra Leone Police, the ASLAF, Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice, the House of Parliament, the Executive Branch of Government, the Judiciary, civil society organizations, domestic election observer groups, and other participants who have been prominent in working with the Commission over the past electoral cycle. Together, ladies and gentlemen, African ladies, we are black, we are proud. Let us strive to strengthen democracy in Sierra Leone for national cohesion, peace, and stability. I thank you all for being in attendance and wish all of us fruitful deliberations in the next 2 days. God bless us all. Thank you all for coming. We are proud of this color. We are proud we are here. And we stand tall one day to tell them that we can do it by ourselves. God bless us all. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, I will now call on the head of country program International IDEA, Dr. Idris Mahmoud Terali, to make a statement. Over to you, Lord.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Alpha. Secretary to the President, Chair, thank you very much, Albert. That's a new accolade to the Chair, which I was not aware of. The President of ECONEC. I'm not sure how many people are aware of what ECONEC is. ECONEC is the network of electoral commissions in West Africa, right? So it means we owe chairman as alone, and as the big man for all the electoral commissions in West Africa. For clap for not so. commissioners of ECSL, political parties, elections observation groups, citizens of Sierra Leone. Many times when I go into public gatherings of this nature, people keep asking, but what are international idea? So allow me just 1 minute to talk about international idea. International idea is the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance. We are not an INGO, we are an intergovernmental agency. Ghana is a member in West Africa. In terms of the embassies that are in Sierra Leone, India is a member, Germany is a member, France has just recently joined, the United States is an observer. We have observer status as the United Nations. What we do is to promote democracy worldwide. And we define democracy using 4 big variables. And that will form the basis of my comments today. But before that, I want to say a very big thank you to the Chair of the Electoral Commission and the ECSL. In 2021, the ECSL made a request to our regional office for initial support. So our team came over to Sierra Leone, did some training with staff of the Electoral Commission. It is after that engagement that the EU thought it's important for us to come over to Sierra Leone. So we're here because the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone wants us to be a very big thank you and want to appreciate the Electoral Commission for that. In terms of even our paperwork, the registration and all the processes, the Electoral Commission provided all the necessary guarantees to the government of Sierra Leone for this one. We are deeply grateful to Mohamed Konneh for that. But what we simply do, we promote 4 fundamental things of democracy. One is representation. And that's where elections, the quality of elections and everything comes in. How are people represented in the government? The other thing is participation. Because every citizen, irrespective of your race, color, ethnic origin, gender, and other things, you have an equal opportunity to participate in the political process. The third is rights. Your rights to associate, your rights to belong, are those ones protected. And the fourth one, more fundamentally, is the question of the rule of law. What is supreme? Is it the law or individuals? Those are the 4 fundamental things that we work. And part of the content that we produce almost on a yearly basis is the GSOD. So go to our website and look at it. It's called the Global State of Democracy, where we assess the health of the democratic process. I'm happy to inform you that we are in conversation with the National Commission for Democracy to replicate the global GSOD on a national GSOD. We have already created a national steering committee to support NCD to conduct a state of democracy research in Sierra Leone. The University of Sierra Leone is part of it, Statistics Sierra Leone is part of it, and several other civil society organizations, including women and youth, are part of the process. But why are we here today? We're here today for a forward-looking process. And I keep saying this all the time. We're here for a forward-looking process. And I want participants to look at this gathering as a forward-looking gathering. In June, we voted. People, like all other elections, questions were raised. Those who have to challenge, they challenged. The political parties, keywords, met, they discussed. And this is what unions don't talk about. And I'm grateful Dr. Gaima is here. I'm looking forward to look at some other members of the Tripartite Committee from the APC. I'm sure they've been invited. They met and they agreed on 80 recommendations. 80! Not to 80, 80. The government of Sierra Leone and the main opposition agree that there are 80 fundamental issues that we have to collectively deal with as a people. So we've printed the recommendations for your perusal. So see that there are, as much as we disagree, our areas of convergence are far more bigger than where we disagree. So what the Electoral Commission wants to do, and which is why we are part of it, is to say we want to make elections better. And mark you, this Electoral Commission has conducted election on its own. If this is not the fourth, maybe it's the third, correct me if I'm wrong. When UN, United Nations, and all those people left, the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone has been able to conduct election on its own. Maybe starting from 2007 or 2012? 2012. 2012, 2018, and 2023 on its own. So there is huge level of experience on the professional level. But elections everywhere are not problem-free. They come with their own challenges. So today and tomorrow, what I want to implore you as citizens of Sierra Leone is to make this a national conversation. Citizens of Sierra Leone, there are 80 recommendations. A good number of them touches on the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission wants to get your feedback on how to move forward. How will the Electoral Commission implement these recommendations? How will you help them implement these recommendations? Another important thing we want to discuss today and tomorrow, the Electoral Commission has a strategic plan, right? 2020 to 2024. It elapsed this year. Don't be surprised if the Electoral Commission begin to bring discussion about how do we strategically plan for the future. As an international idea, we're very happy to be associated with this process. We're aware that when the recommendations of the tripartite was submitted to the President, Cabinet has met, and happy the Secretary to the President is here, Cabinet has met, and the Office of the Chief Minister has been tasked to lead this process. As international idea, we're in of that function. What that suggests, it means that as a union, yes, we can disagree, but we can come together to resolve those disagreements. That is what the APC and the government of Sierra Leone did. They disagree on a number of things, but for 6 months, they banged heads and they came up with a wonderful document. ECSL is front and center in that document. What ECSL wants is to get your feedback on how to make that document, not only a document that will be in the shelves and files of the CEC, but the CEC will come with a strategic plan for its implementation. And we are very happy to be part of that process. Yes. Like the chair mentioned, and this is where I'll end, we will stay around, I can assure you, we will stay around on several other things. As I speak, we are currently supporting the Electoral Commission to strengthen its research capacity. Right? An assessment of the research department is ongoing, and once that is done, we are going to do a whole lot of training for the research department of ECSL. Because we want the work of the Commission to be informed by research and evidence. We're also going to take the research team outside Sierra Leone, possibly to South Africa, to see how the Electoral Commission research department in South Africa works. We're also going to invest in ensuring we do a capacity assessment. It's a recommendation of the tripartite committee to assess the capacity of the Commission to see where there are challenges and to provide the necessary support for the Commission to continue to do that. I implore you today and tomorrow, as Sierra Leoneans, let's make this a national conversation to ensure we support the Electoral Commission to fully implement the recommendations of the tripartite committee, but also those of other elections observation. We will be around, we'll continue to support the process, and I'm sure in the next month or coming month, our support will extend to the Office of the Chief Minister, and the work of ECSL and the work of other partners will be coordinated by the Office of the Chief Minister, and together, as a country, we'll make our democracy better. Thank you very much.
I think Dr. Terali deserves another round of applause. Let's give him. Thank you very much, Dr. Terali, for that scholarly presentation. You know, as a former lecturer, when a colleague of mine stands to talk, I'm always fond of reading. You are A+ for this.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yes. Just quick highlights. We've noted your points around the 4 fundamental principles international headers stands for, specific around representation, participation rights, and the rule of law. But what actually captivated me or inspired my thoughts was your statement around the purpose of this stakeholder engagement. Let this be a forward-looking gathering. Let this be a forward-looking gathering. Some of you are going to be privy to the 80 recommendations today. You may have heard about it. Some of you may have seen it. Some of you may have received copies from the office of the Chief Minister. But this is an opportunity for us to sit down and reflect over these 80 recommendations. And just to inform you all here, one point that was thoroughly noted. This is the first time, really, I can say over 80% of what we did was done by local content. Very little international assistance. When we are conducting the elections in 2007, some of our staff were mere observers. Colleagues of mine can confirm that when we were in Bombardier, Albert was in Bombardier, I was in Tofolili. We had all the international experts out. They were dictating the pace. We were only following or towing the line. But along the line, within the circles, we have rolled over, we have come of age. I always tell people, it's my own thinking, that at this point in Sierra Leone, we are at a point of deepening democracy. We are not in consolidating, or we are not in an embryonic stage where somebody is coming to start telling us what is democracy. We are now trying to deepen democracy, and nobody is going to take us backward on that. We are going to continue within that framework. So, Doc, I want to thank you again for your statement when you said we should make this gathering a national conversation. Let us talk. It's a one-to-one. It's a level 1 interaction. If we get to level 3 or 4, I will try my best as chairman to bring all of us to level 1, so that we sit down with Jojo and we come up with something good for the betterment of this country. So once again, I want to thank you very much, Dr. Arabi, for your erudite statement. And we go to those who actually make us conduct elections. They are there, they have been with us, and without them we cannot be talking about elections. That's the political parties. And I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the Commission to give special recognition to the All Political Parties Association for the good work you've done over the period, over the years. You've been very constructive, you've been with the Commission, you've attended our meetings, you've given us formidable recommendations. Sometimes you've attacked us, sometimes you've walked out of our programs, we get back at you, you come in again. That is the spirit. Where there are disagreements, sometimes we end up agreeing. So ladies and gentlemen, permit me to call on the indefatigable chairman of the All Political Parties Association to come forward to give us a statement. I don't know whether he's around. The chairman of all chairmen. Oh, yeah, I will be missing. Anyway, let's put together to his representation. I think you are the Secretary General, right? Yes. Okay. Our chairman of chairmen is not here today, but you are here. Mr. Chairman, Chair of ECSL, Commissioners of ECSL and President, members of civil society, the Secretary to President, Dr. Daima, leaders of political parties, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you greetings from the chair of the All Political Parties Association,
Mr. Prince Coker, who is unavoidably absent due to other engagements. Kindly permit me to make a statement on behalf of the All Political Parties Association of Sierra Leone. Political parties are an integral part of public sector institutions, and their invaluable role is considered crucial in promoting peace and democratic good governance as the basis for economic and sustainable development in a nation state. Looking at the theme for this engagement, strengthening electoral systems and processes in Sierra Leone. In a democratic society, the cornerstone of legitimacy lies in the integrity of its electoral systems and processes. Democracy can always thrive on the bedrock of free, fair, and inclusive elections. A robust electoral framework is paramount to ensuring that the principles of democracy, such as representation, accountability, and fairness, are upheld. Just after the June 24, 2023 multi-tier elections in Sierra Leone, the APC have made numerous allegations of ECSL and the lack of trust in the electoral mechanism has also surfaced. This argues that it is imperative to further strengthen our electoral system and processes to maintain the foundation for democratic good governance. Crucially, this requires a multifaceted approach involving all stakeholders, including political parties, to examine and update our electoral laws, operational efficiency of our electoral system, functional and institutional system of our EMs. It is therefore vital to provide a fair legal foundation for free, transparent, and uncontested elections. Jogging from the above, APA therefore expresses its thoughts and recommendations on the following. APA is deeply dissatisfied on how short an important electoral-related committee was formed without the direct involvement of other registered political parties. However, the leadership of these various political parties wished to inform this meeting that the terms of reference of the tripartite committee clearly outline their role to review the electoral processes, procedure, and regulations, looking at elections from 2007, 2012, 2018, and 2023, and provide real-time recommendations to address any issues and prevent them from happening again in the future. If that is the case, elections are conducted for all registered political parties in Sierra Leone. Therefore, the recommendation of the tripartite committee must reflect the collective views of all registered political parties. Has been discussed by only two political parties, that's the APC and the SLPP. APA therefore recommends that registered political parties must involve in all election reform processes. Political parties note that the current electoral system, the PR system, only favors the SLPP and the APC. APA therefore recommend that the proportional representation PR system as a permanent feature with a low threshold that will make possible for other political parties to be represented in governance. APA also recommends that the calculation of the threshold for the allocation of seats to parliament must be reviewed and must not exceed more than 3% to create a way for wider participation to allow smaller parties to be represented in both parliament and local councils. The country needs to get rid of the winner-take-all approach to our electoral system. APA therefore recommend that a national conversation on inclusion of other political parties in governance to reduce the current political tension presently surrounding our body policy. APA APA concerns about the manner in which election observers communicate findings to the public. The peace and security of our nation is paramount. Several efforts have been made for the acceptance of election results, and therefore anything contrary will jeopardize the outcome. APA further recommends an established code of conduct for all election observers, both national and international. However, the development of this code must include all stakeholders, including political parties. Section 35(1) of the 1991 Sierra Leone Constitution clearly states the reason why political parties are established. In order to fulfill the constitutional mandate as enshrined in Section 35, subsection 1 of the Sierra Leone 1991 Constitution, APA recommends for political parties subvention, with regulations on political parties funding and campaign finance, so that political parties can be able to serve as viable and credible institutions and be able to build on their institutional and administrative capacities, which further strengthen political and electoral democracy in Sierra Leone. Political parties concerned about the inclusion of more women, persons with disabilities, and other political parties in Parliament. APA therefore recommend a national conversation for a reserved seat to include more women, persons with disability, and other registered political parties to be represented in Parliament and local councils. Political parties concerned that the 2023 elections are over, and government should consider extending the olive branch to other political parties in order to foster sustainable peace, strengthen the national cohesion drive of our development, for the development of our nation. APA also notes that having only two political parties, that is the SLPP and the APC, to assess legal electoral management and institutional reforms are unprecedented, and therefore we make our position clear that some of the recommendations in the tripartite committee report does not represent the majority of opposition parties. Therefore, further consideration must be given to other political parties to express their views. Finally, the strength of electoral systems and processes is a dynamic and ongoing pursuit, crucial to the preservation of democracy and the enhancement of government. As we look into the future, it is incumbent on us, political parties, to evaluate and bolster our electoral framework constantly, for they are the bedrock upon which a free, fair, and functioning nation rests. Therefore, through collective will and strategic action, we can help strengthen our electoral landscape into a world that is resistant to malign influence and reflective of the will of the people. Long live APA Sierra Leone, long live democracy. God bless you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ibrahim Sorisisi, the Secretary General of the All Political Parties Association. We have noted, not only myself as chair, but all of us gathered here this morning with keen interest, the recommendations of APA. I want to believe some of these recommendations you made very clear when you were invited to the tripartite committee. Re-echoing them here means a lot, and it's good for all of us seated here to note what the concerns of APA. And one good point I noted from your statement is democracy can only thrive on the bedrock of free, fair, and credible elections. I agree with you on that in no uncertain terms. And as a commission, the manner in which we conducted the elections dating as far back as 15 to 18 years back has not been different in any manner or form as the way we conducted the 2023 elections. Most of the staff of the ECSL entered the commission through what I may want to call entrance legitimacy. We took exams, we sat down. Some of us, by then I was a lecturer. I sat with my students, we took exams. Some of them ended up being more senior than me in the commission. And this same set of staff conducted 208 local council elections. We did similarly for 2012, 2018, and likewise for 2023. Virtually no difference. There have been reforms along the line. For every cycle, every election we conduct, we get back to the drawing board, we look at lessons plans, we improve on the system. There was a time we knew there was need for staff capacity development. There's a difference between staff capacity building and staff capacity development. We embarked on staff capacity development, a long-term goal, to make our staff professionals. So if we could conduct the elections on our own in 2023, with very limited or minimal international participation, it means we have become of age. And instead of giving us a tap on the back, some people somewhere else are scolding. Scold us, but we are moving. And it's the way forward. That's why we are here as a national concern. For most of your recommendations, they are noted, and maybe in the course of the deliberations, I want to believe most of them will come up. But let me take this opportunity to recognize participants here from persons with disability and gender groups. I saw you coming in. We can understand the rates. It's been raining cats and mouse today all over the place. So thank you for coming, and we respect and strongly join you to be part of this process today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to take us forward, Mr. Masakwe had introduced a personality to you. This gentleman is unassuming. He's a disciplinarian. He is firm and has a stubborn personality. He's unbendable. He's stuck on all times. He's a rock of Gibraltar. Those of you who know about the rock of Gibraltar. If you permit me to use adjectives, I studied linguistics. I'll hold you here for some time to describe this personality. So members of the high table, with due respect to Secretary to the President, Dr. Emmanuel Gaima, permit me to introduce to you the indefatigable, the unassuming, the quiet man with that quiet disposition, but very firm. No less a person, but the President of ECONEC, the Chairman, the Chief Electoral Commissioner, and the National Returning Officer of the Electoral Commission for Sierra Leone, Mr. Mohamed Konneh. We are on a platform from Mango, media reporting about from big time. Thank you.
Oh. Do you know how they call it at the ECSL? The Gattuso of the Commission. Mr. Chair, for this program, thank you so much. And let me follow the existing protocol. And let me also appreciate the presence of our High Commissioner from Ghana to Sierra Leone, the Ambassador from Liberia, the Mano River Union representative, and other representatives of our diplomatic corps that are here. And then let me also appreciate, I think, this is going to be the first appearance of the Secretary to President, the newly appointed Secretary to President. So it's a great honor for us that we have the honor of hosting and providing the environment for him to talk to us as the Secretary to President. Dr. Gaima, you're most welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, you're all welcome. we have started the rebirth to 2028. I know many of you must be wondering why it took so long for us to have this meeting. Immediately after the 2023 elections, they always say, you want to make the world a better place, you start with yourself. The commission assembled in Bo, where we assessed ourselves, the conduct of the 2023 elections, the goods, the bad, and the ugly. We identified the goods, which by our estimation overweighed the bad. However, as the journalists will say, they always go out for the unfavorable news because that makes them journalists. So whatever we did that outweighed the bad, the bad became prevalent in our national discourse. So today we try to gather you to bring you here today so that the commission can respond or can hear from you what you perceive that we are not too good towards the 2023 elections, and we prefer the relevant responses. As somebody mentioned, there has never been perfect elections all over the world. So we cannot expect Sierra Leone elections or the 2023 elections could be the outcast. What is important in every election is to follow what the law says, not what people perceive. It has come to a situation in the world where perception, whether good or bad, has overtaken the reality, the law, the regulations, or standards. So that's the environment we are living in. I think Commissioner was mentioning that there has never been changes. We have all, the 2023 elections followed the procedural processes that we followed in 2007, 2008, 2012, 2018. I think the only change here is this time around, the processes were managed by Mohamed Konneh, who happened to be the first Southeasterner to head the commission, appointed by a government. Majority of the base is from the Southeast. So there's this perception from the onset of my appointment, to the extent that whatever I did, people will perceive it as being favorable to the government. To the extent, even the commission, members of the commissioners, we are classified all from the Southeast, even where we have other representatives from other regions. However, that notwithstanding, let me highlight some of the successes for the 2023 elections, or the 2020-2024 electoral cycle. Everybody knows we are able to conduct the election on 24th June 2023, even though the main opposition was consistently asking us if we were prepared to conduct the elections. And our answers were affirmative, and we were able to conduct the elections. We were able to conduct the elections without any deferment of a single station, as happened in some of the past elections, where either ballot papers were misprinted, or certain, a whole district local council election was deferred. But we were able to conduct the election on 24th June. We were able to count all results, all votes cast on that day, to the extent the last station where I assembled all my directors to observe, to monitor the election, we were able to complete the election by 12 midnight. So that's the success. Another important thing we have to remember, for the first time when I assumed office, I said I was going to conduct elections where my kids will be going to school and the ordinary people will be going about their normal business. I think we did that. We had one of the most peaceful elections, despite the threats of the processes before election. That happened because we brought everybody on board. We collaborated with the security forces. We brought on board the civil society organizations. Political parties were part of the process. So up to the conduct of the election, I think everybody had some level of confidence, notwithstanding the apprehensions or perception they had about the ECSL. Commissioner mentioned about the funding of the electoral processes. When I assumed office in 2020, one of the issues I met on my desk was the issue of delay funding to the commission. So that became one of my challenges, to ensure that the government has to be in charge of the electoral processes and that funding has to be available as and when required. And I think that's led to the establishment of the Election Sustainability Trust Fund, from which we had no issues about funding because government started saving funds into this account way back as 2021. So we had no issues. There are several legal reforms that we undertook during the electoral cycle, but the most important one I can mention here is the one that created the foundation for the giveaway to be passed into law, because one of the contentious issues which delayed the giveaway in Parliament was this issue of 30% of female representation in Parliament. The giveaway bill was there for over almost a year, until when the ECSL bill, because we crafted a provision in the BAEB, Public Elections Act, that created the provision of 2-to-1. In the case of nomination, every three candidates nominated, one has to be a female candidate. So that laid the foundation for giveaway bill to go through. So that's success, that's one of the successes. And today, if we are talking about giveaway bill, if we are talking about more than 30% of female in Parliament, the credit should come to the ECSL and other partners and the government. The voter registration also, we introduced several reforms. We increased the percentage of registration centers by 10%. We created the possibility for disabled and the aged to move freely to vote. We have the support from the EU UNDP to develop or construct ramps, which made it very, very possible and easier for our colleagues who are constrained in terms of movement to move and cast their votes. Of course, we were able to complete the voter registration within the time frame of 6 months. We also introduced a nomination system that allow the political parties to nominate their candidates online instead of the previous system where they have to fill in several documents. Many of them had challenges, and we provided an assistant that enabled them to do the voter nomination procedure to go through smoothly. Even though initially some of them attempted to bypass the law, which say every 3 candidates will have to be a female, they used the code for male to represent a female, for female to represent a male candidate. In some instances, somebody will give the name of Awa Bangura, for instance, or Mohamed Konneh, but then when you look at the, Awa Bangura, when you look at the details of the nominee, you realize that it's a male candidate. So we have to call them to order to ensure that they comply with the law. But these are things they will not talk about. Of course, electoral education also, we are very successful in that. With the support from the ECOWAS Commission, ECOWAS funding, we were able to support over 30 civil society organizations. We collaborated with several other civil society organizations, the media, houses, and even some political parties. Even the APA provided a funding to enable them to help with the voter education, especially on the PR system. We know some of the comments we're going to hear today, we have to relate to the PR system. But I think the PR system, we are now reaping the benefit of having used the PR system for the 2023. Since the election in 2023, we have received over 10 vacancies of local government, of MPs. Just imagine if we are grappling with the post-election contentions, and then we are conducting by-elections, 10 by-elections. What could that have been? But nobody knows about whether there have been vacancies at the local government level or at the parliamentary level. So these are some of the benefits, not only the financial aspects of having the PR system, but also the peace of this country. I think the PR system will provide a leeway or pathway for us to have permanent peace. I agree with what the upper secretary said, for consideration of the threshold, so that we make an opportunity for everybody, every interest group, whether political party or social interest group, to be able to fight, to contest and get a seat either in parliament or local council to represent your interests. So I agree that we have to consider the threshold of the PR system if that's going to be our permanent electoral system. Of course, major discussion is going to be around the result management system. But as we pointed out, already said in several occasions, this system we use, this is a system that has been developed since 2007, which we always improve upon at every electoral cycle. The only difference here this time, in the last election, is that I challenged my staff who had been in the commission for over 15, 20 years and have conducted 3 or 4 elections, that this time around, you guys are going to supervise the election result management system, our IT system, without the intervention of any external party. We can use our local consultants who have been in this process or with well-versed knowledge in the IT system. So that's what we use. We did not reinvent any wheel, or we did not reinvent the processes for result management system. The same transparency process that was done in 2018, 2012, where observers were seated and observing the input of data across in all regions at regional center. It's the same system we use. What we resisted at the Tale Center was the attempt by some observer to go and stand over our data clerks to see what they are entering. Having disclosed, having shown the envelopes open in the presence of political parties, before this data, before the result reconciliations were given for entry, they still wanted, some of them requested to go and stand over our staff for them to see what they are entering. So we resisted. I think that's where most of these problems people are talking about. We have videos of all observers throughout the Tale management that we are seated. We have the CCTV record of them seated throughout the process. So it was surprising to us for some observers to say the process was not transparent. They were there. If they were not given opportunity, how will you have concluded your assessment? So they were there. They saw what happened. So we did not reinvent the wheel. The technical staff are here doing the breakout sessions. They will explain to you what we did. And these processes were disclosed to political parties before even the election, before even the polls. And the last important thing I want to talk about is the tripartite recommendations. As I said to the President when we went to submit our reports, we are all in for review of the electoral system. You see, we have the parable we normally say in Sierra Leone. You weigh the pool close from the well. Now you people that they see as a bad person. So the close or the electoral system that we have been using over 3-7 has been there. And we use it. So if people are now saying that system we used for 2023 was not credible, then they should question 2007 election, 2012 elections, and 2018 elections. So it is good that the tripartite did not only look at the 2023 elections, but went as far back as 2007. So I want you, when you break out in your group session, don't just focus on the 2023, because the tripartite recommendations, the 80 recommendations we are talking about, is reflective of all electoral cycles over the period. And the interesting thing is, when we look at the recommendation, we have assessed, we have evaluated the recommendation. Most of the issues they are recommending to be done are things that we have been doing, are things that we propose in our electoral reform in the Public Elections Act bill that we submitted to Parliament. For instance, they are asking us to allow the diaspora to be allowed to be registered. It was part of our bill that we took to Parliament. There are several recommendations in these tripartite recommendations that were part of our recommendations we took to Parliament. You get to know some of them when you meet at your group level. So I want you to have free mind, clean slate, bring out your issues, your perceptions about the 2023 elections, and listen to our technical staff to provide the relevant explanation, the relevant evidence. And then, as somebody said, we propose the system that we incorporated into the development of the strategic plan for the next electoral cycle. Because the essence of this meeting, of this gathering, is to lay the foundation for us to develop, for us to incorporate the good aspects that will strengthen or deepen our electoral system for the 2025-2029 electoral cycle. So I entreat you all to be patient with us for these 2 days and take the necessary notes. And at the end of the day, I hope we will go back and talk about the good things that ECSL did in the 2023 elections, and talk about how do we forge ahead to deepen our electoral system. Thank you so much for your audience.
I think my chair deserves another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I will just use 15 seconds to recap on what he has said, because I realize most people were taking notes when Chair was making his statement around most of the issues, especially the thorny issues that will form the basis of the reflections, the discussions we're going to have here this morning. But just permit me to say, to reinforce what Chair said, that we have not reinvented the wheel. We have improved on the system along the years, and we have maintained transparency of the process. For those who are professionals in elections, it's very difficult, or virtually impossible, to actually beat the system, the result management system that is put in place. At some given point, it's my opinion, for some of the international reports, election observer reports we received, I thought, and I still my opinion that those reports, they have started writing them before even we started during the elections. Those have gone through some of those reports. We just can't imagine these are reports coming from international partners. So be it. So this, ladies and gentlemen, without much ado, permit me now to call on the newest man on the block, the executive branch of governance, an intellect, an administrator, a philosopher, somebody who has created an impact in the governance structure of this country, an eminent personality, is also unassuming, has a strong personality. Let me now invite the keynote speaker for this occasion, the person of Dr. Mohamed Konneh.
My distinguished chair, High Commissioner from Ghana, the Ambassador from the Republic of Liberia, our representative from the Non-River Union, colleagues in government in the MDAs, colleagues from the CSO family, the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. At the risk of giving a vote of thanks, I want to be thankful to the ECSL for giving the opportunity to be with you this morning. But I also want to apologize that I will not be here speaking on behalf of the Tripartite Committee. Like I said to His Excellency the President, the mandate of that committee expired, and by extension, the position that I held as co-chair on behalf of government expired.
We're here today to celebrate a very historic moment with the partnership between Lloyds and Chevro Alliance partners. Lloyds working with Chevro Alliance is exactly the type of partnership that we've been looking for and exactly the right ambition. Siaka Stephen and I have had this ambition to build a West.
The intimacy of administrations. But for that to happen, you require expert body, with the right skill sets of people, with the rules and regulations to be able to coordinate that for it to happen. So EMBs are institutions that guide the planning and the conduct of elections. And they are those that are core and fundamental. And the core and fundamental one for Sierra Leone will remain to be the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone that has gone through evolution from INEC, Independent National Electoral Commission, to the National Electoral Commission, to the constitutionally proper title of the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone. And with humility, I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, that I have had the opportunity of associating with the Electoral Commission since 2002, when I served as governance specialist in the NDP. And I also want to reaffirm and confirm that when I sat on the Tripartite Committee and there were questions around the qualification and experience of people who serve, I have testament to the recruitment of people in the ECSL. And we did that with the international experts that were from UNAMSIN at that time. And these people, Commissioner Alpha and others, went through perhaps one of the most excellent, detailed standards of recruitment in this country. But we'll leave the conversation and debate for some other day. Ladies and gentlemen, I also want to say that EMBs have a critical role to play. And one of that role is really to prepare the citizens to be able to engage political processes. And in doing that, very central to our role will be information sharing. And that's the reason why electoral education, voter education, both before, during, and after is critical so that the citizens are able to understand the parameters of what it means to be able to make decisions from an informed point of view. In addition to that, an electoral commission or EMBs generally create for us, the citizens, and other critical actors, a platform for engagement like the one we're having today. So what we are having today is really an extension or manifestation of the mandate of what a responsible EMB should be doing, bringing around critical stakeholders around the table to be able to engage in a very coordinated, in a very structured, and a very informed manner. Now from ECSL, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to bore you, but suffice to say that it is a creation of the Constitution of Sierra Leone Act No. 6 of 1991. It stipulates not only the functions of the Commission, but it also stipulates the role of key actors in the Commission, like the commissioners and the key staff that run the Commission. And so, whatever is happening in the Commission, to a greater extent, is drawn from the mandate as written in the Constitution of Sierra Leone Act No. 6 of 1991. So if we say there are deficiencies, it tells you that the Constitution of Sierra Leone Act No. 6 of 1991 is not a dated constitution. This is the constitution that came into force when the majority of us were either kids or not born yet. And that's the constitution that we think needs to be looked at. This is the constitution that has gone through two presidents. President Amati Diakama of blessed memory, President Anespai Kuruma, and now it's going through President Julius Malami. But the good news is, President Julius Malami has vowed, and it's a presidential commitment, that this constitution will be reviewed before its term ends. Ladies and gentlemen, what are elections? Elections create for us opportunity, and I want to come back to the issue. It is one of the ways in which we confer legitimacy because it provides the avenue for accessing power, and with power comes authority, and the authority the state is managed. That is the one that is not contested right now, that elections are required. I will go through elections. But ladies and gentlemen, elections are multi-stakeholder engagements. They are not only there for the Electoral Commission. They are there for citizens, they are there for political parties, and they are there for affiliate entities that support the election management bodies. So you realize, for example, the EC chair and the chair of this occasion have made reference to the ONS, the BBRC, the SLP, the RSLAP, the CSOs, and of course the actors themselves, the political parties. So if you are really talking about a clean, fair, and decent, acceptable electoral environment, you have to look not only at the ECSL, but you have to look at the multi-stakeholder nature of what the electoral environment should be like. And in that, we should pay attention to what is being done in terms of planning. What is the quality of collaboration? How much coordination is going on? And more importantly, perhaps, how is the system being financed and processed? To that extent, I want to also remind us that electoral systems and the outcomes of elections are rooted in the quality of the laws in the land. The Electoral Commission, like other AMBs, have to operate on the basis of laws. But as we know in the governance architecture, that laws are supplemented by regulations and guidelines. And regulations and guidelines have to also be done in connectivity with the people whose lives, whose activities is going to impact. So all the ECSL could do, drawing from the Constitution, drawing from the Public Elections Act, will be also to come about with regulations and guidelines. And I think that has been done over time. And that's the reason why we've had elections since 2002, 2007, 2012, 18, and 23. And I want us to recognize and appreciate all those over the years who have made our Electoral Commission be one that is enviable, for which today we should be proud. And all the chairmen of the Electoral Commission, Sierra Leone has the chair. Congratulations, Mr. Chairman. Now, the issue with elections also, we ask the questions. Are the multiple actors aware of their roles? Do they take their roles very seriously? Do they play their roles right? Do they play it on time? But one important thing also will be, do these stakeholders have trust in the institutions or states? We need to keep those questions as we discuss in the next 2 days. The inadequacies of laws and electoral outcomes are related. If laws are not adequate, there are bound to be concerns about electoral concerns. And that's why electoral experts will say the world over that no election is perfect. It's simply because you can never have all of the laws, all of the time, for all of the elections. And therefore, there are times when people read the electoral outcomes on the basis of what exists. However, it is required that a very responsible electoral commission and EMBs must try as much as possible to be compliant with existing laws. And to the extent possible, they must carry all the stakeholders as much as possible, irrespective of the views they hold about them. And to that extent, again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to believe that the ECSL in the 2023 cycle tried as much as possible to carry them. I think they had the political party result committee, to which all political parties were represented, and also their sister agency, the PPRC, was working along with them, creating platform for feedback, giving and receiving. I was also privileged and fortunate to sit on the Electoral Steering Committee. For the very first time for the particular electoral cycle, we had 15 meetings for which all the development partners sat in there. So, at the risk of criticizing, I think people were only having in colloquial double faces because there was nothing that was not discussed. On the 10th of June, the other 2 weeks to the elections, the Electoral Commission was called to a meeting with all partners to discuss the resource management system at a hub hotel, and they were given a pass. It confuses me, it makes me a little frustrated, and it makes me believe that diplomacy is actually hypocrisy. Elections are also supposed to belong within a national context, because the elections you conduct also depend on where we are. What is the level of political socialization in Sierra Leone? What is the level of trust in our society outside of even election? How sincere are most of us to the truth? How many of us know our laws? How many of us know the norms that are supposed to be respected in the public space as we manage public spaces and public institutions? How responsible are those of us who report? How objective do we report? How much credence do we pay to evidence? How much effort do we make to ask those who are in charge questions that should be asked? And to what extent do we take our prejudices from national issues? These are contextual issues. These are issues that influence the outcome of what we see in our elections. And therefore, I will end up saying, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, until and unless the citizens of a state believe that sovereignty can be born from national consciousness, and national consciousness is that we have to respect what is ours, we have to own what is ours, and we have to live where we have to live. Because if we decide not to respect national institutions, if political parties decide to cry down the National Electoral Commission, or Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone, and then you happen to win the elections subsequently, then you are bringing illegitimacy thoughts around your process, because the very institution that you criticize. If we criticize the SNP, then it means you don't have confidence in the SNP very security for you. But it is the very SNP that when the rights are infringed upon, that you don't do. If you do not have respect for the ECSL, there are several other elections that are associated to. Some of us who might virtue of that are from chieftaincy families. They conduct elections at the chieftaincy level. They conduct elections at the local government levels. We participate in those elections, but we come nationally and carry down the ECSL. To conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I want to appeal to us that as Sierra Leoneans, let us try to be conscious. Let us have sovereignty at the center of what we do. Let us try to believe that Sierra Leone can do it, and let us honor people who have made sacrifices for this nation. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and I wish you a good day.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us all rise and put our hands together. Let us all rise and give a standing ovation to our keynote speakers. Thank you very much for your speech. At this juncture, I will call on Mr. Masakwe to come forward. We should be going out for break now. I'm not going to recap on what the keynote speaker has said. The message is loud and clear. But let us not forget, sovereignty and national consciousness is very key. And as Sierra Leoneans, we can do it. Over to you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. As per the the agenda. We're going to have photographs. We'll have the high table, and we'll have the first photograph is going to be the high table. Then later, members of the diplomatic community.
African diplomatic community.
Members of the African diplomatic community. Then after, we'll also have various other sets of photographs. So we'll start with the chairman of the Electoral Commissioner has asked that the commission holds a joint meeting with the diplomatic community. A joint photo. Political parties will be the next to join the high table.
Phone. So yeah, phones you capture.
Benny, are you taking? All right, okay.
Are we fine? You good? Okay. All right.
Just 1 second. I think he has not taken it. Sorry. We need one more. Sorry. I think we need one more photo. Come quickly.
For the idea.
Yes.
Political parties, please be in readiness.
Come front. No.
It's cameraman.
You don't see that.
Well, I mean,
You got right.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members of the political parties. Political party representatives, please. All political party representatives.
Everybody.
MDs, you are next. Ministries, departments, and agencies.
Okay. Thank you.
MDs, please. MDs, please.
PRC, NCD,
Human rights.
Civil society, be in readiness. Are you joining, ma'am? Come. Yes, please.